What is up, my peeps? Joshua Smith here with another GSD Mode podcast interview, where every single week we interview top real estate agents, top entrepreneurs, and strip top badasses out there dominating their space. These are people that refuse to live a life of mediocrity, instead to go out there and create amazing, big, epic lives for themselves, their families, and have a big impact on others. And today, you guys got another amazing, badass guest on the show. Our guest today, you guys, is a top real estate agent in South Orange County, a disrupt tour speaker on social media, the number one most reviewed real estate team on Zillow in Orange County. Is just up to a lot of amazing, epic things. Has an amazing story. And is one of these guys, like so many real estate agents, and this is one of the big reasons I'm excited to have him on the show, but I'm really excited to go deep in this topic of how to go from being a new agent and a struggling agent, because we all know the pains that exist with that, to go out there and get that traction, get that momentum that's needed, because that transition period from being brand new to getting that traction is so difficult. You got over 90% of brand new agents that fail in the first 3 years. This is something that this dude is dialed in and specialized in. Again, we're going to go deep on it. So really stoked and honored to have Nick Ahrens on the show. My friend.
Hey, thank you so much, Josh. I'm honored to be here. It's great. I'm loving it. By the way, your podcast is phenomenal. Listen to a ton of them. Big fan, big subscriber, and I recommend it to pretty much everybody out there. How you doing? How's everything out there?
First of all, I truly appreciate the support and kind words, man. No, shit's going good, man. Yeah, dude, just stoked to have you on, man. I know, and again, like I said in the intro, off air before we hit the record, but we're talking about, the struggles that you experience as a new agent, like so many do. And we know the stats. 90% of brand new real estate agents fail in the first 3 years. Your first year realtor on average makes 10 grand. And the reality is even agents that have been in this 15 years, it's not like they're killing it. If you look at on the averages, it's like they've repeated the same shitty 15 years over and over and over. And I was looking at the AR 2017 reports, and your average realtor, and this is that have made it, so the average length of time I think was like 6 years, is grossing $34,000 a year. So when you break down their expenses, they're netting about $25,000 a year. And we're in an industry where you'd make more money working at McDonald's full time than the average real estate agent does. And there's so many struggles that exist, and lack of direction, if you will. And I know that was something that you struggle with, like we all do, and you've really dialed in. And so I'm excited to go deep on that. But before we go into that, dude, I'm always intrigued in our guest journeys that led them into the real estate industry in the first place. So if you rewind the clocks, like, how'd this whole damn journey start for you?
You know what? That's a great question. So born and raised in San Clemente, California. For those of you who don't know, it's positioned halfway between Los Angeles and San Diego in Southern California. It's a little beach town, and grew up surfing. And for whatever reason, I was always interested in homes. I'd see open house signs as a little kid, and I'd go, "That looks cool. I want to go check it out." I knew nothing about the industry, but just really kind of like the idea of homes, people moving, helping people out. And I've always been one to go out and help people as well, and never realized how important that actually is to this business until I got into the business. Played water polo in high school. That's actually a tool I helped use to get into college. Went to USC, and best decision of my life I ever made was going up. My summer job was lifeguarding. And best decision in my life that I ever made was going up and inviting my future wife to a lifeguard party. It turned out she's from Sweden. And so, kind of a long story short, after graduation, we got married, and I moved to Sweden for 15 months. Really wanted to get into real estate at the time. And just to see what it was like, I went, you know what, I'm gonna go, and I'm gonna bust my ass, and I'm gonna go 100%. It's something. I was in Sweden. I'm on a tourist visa. I couldn't work. I couldn't do anything. It was the most it was frustrating, and one of the most amazing times in my life at the same time. It was this beautiful country. Met some of my best friends of all time there. Had one of the greatest times of my life, but I couldn't start that journey. And so I talked to my fraternity brothers, talked to friends, talked to family members, every single person I could get in touch with, to start reading, to start listening to podcasts, to start going on different YouTube channels and studying up how to become a realtor, how to become a real estate agent. And I really kind of got into a niche of one thing I really wanted to get into was flipping homes. This is back in 2013. And so I came back And at that time, desperate for money, needed money. And I took a job coaching water polo and cleaning windows full time. So I did that as I was getting my license. And finally, I just said, you know what? I've saved up enough money. I've got 6 months worth of income. I'm just going to go for it. I've got my license. I've had it for a year. I've done 0 deals, 0 business. I did 1 open house, had the best lead you could ever have from an open house. And I blew it again and again and again with this guy. And this guy liked me so much after blowing him off, he was calling me saying, hey, I really still want that home. Can you help me buy it? And so said, you know what? I got to do this full time to know what it's actually about. And got recruited by a gentleman in the area who does 75 to 100 deals a year. Great guy, and kind of got into the business that way. And since I've actually joined another team I've been recruited to, and we can kind of dive into why I moved and what kind of helped me build some of that traction. It's kind of related to that subject, but anyways, that's kind of how I got into the business and where I am now from a 30,000 foot perspective.
Yeah, no, I love it, dude. So, again, this was a conversation we had off air, but I want to bring it up just to segue. Because I mean, you would spent a lot of time researching, studying, watching podcasts, watching YouTube videos, getting prepped. Then you get licensed, and you join this team and this mentor, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think a lot of agents realize, but man, it's even with all that and all that, the research, whatever, man, it's still a fight and it's still a struggle. And there's a lot of different reasons for it. But yeah, let's talk about kind of what that struggle is like, and what you did to transition and like, how did you overcome that? Because again, the hardest part for like on my team, dude, I mean, we recruit mainly new agents. And it's a good 5 month usually transition before they start popping their first deal and consistent deals. And it's like, man, it's so difficult just getting agents that first year. And if they, once they get that traction, then life's damn good. Right. But most just can never get it. And I would love to hear, what that struggle was and what those tweaks were that you did to get that traction.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's something that everybody needs to know, because most teams, I shouldn't say most, I don't know that for sure, but I know a lot of teams work as a mini broker model. They go, congratulations, you're on the team. I'm going to take half your money. Here's a phone. Good luck to you. Mm-hmm. So here's your desk. Here's your phone. You're on your own. And fortunately, I was in a better position than that. I was actually getting the opportunity at a ton of open houses, but I didn't really have a lot of direction. I don't want to bad talk anybody, because the team I was on, it was a phenomenal guy. Absolutely love him and his family. They're super generous, great people, but we didn't have the systems and structure in place that I was looking for. It was a bit more old school, a bit more geographic farming, a bit more transactional than I'd liked. I was trying to build a business more off of referrals and sphere of influence, and a lot through social media, and kind of combine all that together. And I didn't really have any direction with that. And so I tried to figure out how to use Facebook on my own, how to use Google AdWords on my own, create a website on my own, what the heck cold calling was, researching a ton of scripts on how to do it, had nobody to actually role play and script with. And I felt myself doing so much research, I wasn't actually doing the work necessary to gain traction, which was a huge pitfall of mine. I wanted to make sure I had the perfect system lined up and ready to go, which there is none. There really isn't any. And I'm sure you know this as well. You're probably still making tweaks, being as successful as you are. And I know the team I'm with now, we're still making all kinds of tweaks to our business the way we are now. And I realized something hit me. It said, you know what? I've got to stop every activity that's not producing income. And I was talking to a buddy of mine down in San Diego who bought a home, and the agent he used kills it. Guy doesn't even, 100% of his business is sphere of influence and referrals. Does no open houses. Guy doesn't even have a website. And I went, okay, if that guy's killing it like this, there's something I'm missing. And it was simply just doing the work. It was picking up the phone and calling people. I let every single person in my database know I was in the industry. I changed kind of get into it tactically. A lot of the things I did was I made sure everybody I knew and all of their friends were connected to me on Instagram specifically. Anytime I'd see one of them on Instagram, I'd grab their phone and say, hey, let me check out this page real quick. And I'd go to the search tab, I'd put in my name, and I'd follow myself. So by default, all of my friends had to follow me because I'd grab their phone and make them follow me in that sense. Change the line in my email signature to reflect that I'm an agent. Almost all of my emails going out would say Nick Ahrens Real Estate at the time. And now since obviously we've changed, I'm with the READ team. And so pretty much everything says READ team again and again and again and again, just kind of to help keep that top of mind awareness. Some of the other things I'm actually doing now that I'm actually finding success with are cold calling, which I never did prior. I had a huge fear of it, was absolutely terrified of it. Joined my new team and they said, all right, that's one of the lead generation pillars we use. So you're going to have to start calling. And my first reaction was, oh shit. Needless to say, the first 100 conversations I had with people went awful. They were absolutely garbage. And then I started to realize, you know what? It's a skill set, just like anything else. It's just like playing sports. It's just like playing basketball. We got to learn how to dribble. We got to learn how to shoot. We got to learn how to play defense. We got to learn how to play defense, transition, offense in the transition. We got to know how long we can stay in the key for. We got to know the rules. What's a 3-pointer? What constitutes a 2-pointer? Why free throws are 1 point? We've got to know all of that and how to operate and succeed in all those different areas. And this is much the same way. Cold calling was just kind of a slice of that. And we're going to fail in the beginning. And I just kept calling, And fortunately, my sales partners kept saying, hey, Nick, just work on this or change this, tweak this a little bit. And we'd start to script, we'd start to role play, and it starts coming together. And just yesterday, I talked to 3 different people in an hour span who are all looking to move in the next 16 to 18 months.
Yep.
And they all love me just from an hour-long cold call session, which just a year ago I would have been absolutely terrified of.
Yep. Love it, dude. So I've got some follow-up questions to several things that you said. So first, I love that you attacked or wanted to attack your sphere of influence, right? And I hear so many real estate agents that are like, oh, dude, Josh, I don't have a sphere of influence. I'm brand new. Like so many just like assume that it's only past clients. So that's one silo. I look at your sphere of influences. Anybody you walk into the grocery store, even if you don't know their name or remember their name, you recognize each other and you wave and smile. Yeah, right? Like anybody that has a somewhat of a warm relationship, because real estate is so simple. Get people to know you, like you, trust you, be aware of what you do for a living, follow up frequently, your business grows. That's it. Yeah, right? People try to overcomplicate this so heavily. And again, I love NAR and all the stats they put out, but 2017 showed that if you combine buyers and sellers, this is an average of both. Mm-hmm. Out of 5.3 million transactions done in 2017, 59% went with buyers and sellers, chose an agent that was a friend, family member / relative, right? Neighbor, and or a past real estate agent or referral from one of those. Yeah, right. Then you look at like expires, or like direct mail is like 1%. Expires maybe 1.5%. Open houses is 5%. The rest is scraps. Not that that's not important. It's important to cold call and get new business coming in, but that sphere is so massive. Mm-hmm. And I think that social media. I mean, I crush it on social media as well, and we use it very heavily, very intentional about phone questing every client, and we have a posting strategy, and with all of that to have that awareness. Where I'm going with this, though, is because you're intentional about getting all those connections with people that know you. They already know you, they like you, they trust you. But if they don't know what you do for a living, you're not in any fucking business. But a lot of real estate agents are like, well, dude, I don't want to be that pushy, douchey salesman that's always in their face. So can you give us an idea of now that you're connected on social media, like, what are the strategies that you use? Yeah, right. Where they don't get annoyed, but they know what you do, and they think of you when they're looking to buy or sell. But you're not like in their face, annoying the hell out of them.
Yeah, I'm sure you do as well. I see too many people on social media posting only just listed, new pendings, and just sold. That's it. Stats, numbers, figures, and I just want to ask kind of a rhetorical question to everybody out there. How many of those pages do you enjoy following? For me, it's zero. None whatsoever. I cannot stand it. And then you go look at somebody like Frederick Eklund or Ryan Serhant. What are they doing? How often do they post a property for sale? Not very often. And it's the whole idea of social media is to be able to, it's social and it's media. We're trying to connect with people. We're trying to connect with people on that human to human relationship. And so what I'm doing is I'm posting a lot of my personal life, a ton of it, trying to be as transparent as I can about my successes, my failures, my struggles, and fun and random stuff as well as a bunch of motivational stuff. Somebody said it best to me. I think it was TJ Reeves, actually. He said, every post should either be educational, inspirational, or motivational. If it's not going to be at least one of those three, hopefully it's going to be one and then overlap into one or at least two of those other buckets. If it's not going to be at least one of those, don't put it out there because it's not going to gain traction. And so I realized a lot of that stuff that's motivational, inspirational, or educational, hardly any of it that people want to see has to do with real estate. And so when if I post, say, 2 glasses of champagne next to each other, that's going to get a ton of traction, especially if my comment is something along the lines of, hey, just had 3 closings this week. Thank you for my wife for putting up with me through all the crap I had to put up with and my emotional ups and downs for this. Cheers to you for the successes we've had in you being there and supporting me through all this. It's real estate, yes, and people get it and they'll see that, and it's a reminder that I am in the business and I am doing well in the business. But at the same time, it's way more personal than a just listed or a just sold or a new pending.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, if you think of what is social media, right? Like if you look at it, it's digital reality TV. Cool thing is you get to be your own star, right? So you're just living your life and letting people know who you are. Like I look at who do I want the world to think of as Joshua Smith, right? And from my hobbies to my family to me as a human being to business, right? And we do like with real estate stuff, like things that we found that do really good is, telling a story. Right? Like maybe we have a buyer with the sold sign in front that we, tell a story about their journey. But it's more of a, hey, thank you so much to, hey, thanks so much, Nick. It was such an honor to work with you. Such a blessing to, whatever, and have a picture of them. And maybe it's telling a little story about them or like simple shit. Like, hey, I was looking at some homes today and I've got a client looking at for some homes and they, I was looking for a resort style backyard and saw some of the most beautiful resort style backyards. Check out some of these resort backyards. And you just have, 10 photos, just like the most kick-ass backyards. Yeah, right? Or like we'll do things like, one thing I love about being a real estate agent is when I'm working with my clients, identifying and being able to find out what their styles are. Right? Are they like modern, do they like contemporary? And I find myself loving all of it. And I'm just curious of what my Facebook family likes. Yeah, right? Below are 2 pictures of 2 dream kitchens, one modern, one contemporary. If you could have one or the other, which one would you choose, A or B? Right? But it gets so much engagement, so you're selling without selling. Yeah, right? It's planting that seed, and too many people overcomplicate it. Now, do you stay? Because you talked about Instagram. Do you stay strict there? And is that because that's like your ideal client is and your peeps are? Or, do you like I do buffer and I hit Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Do you do something like that? Or like you just on one path?
I was just strictly on one path. I was just strictly on Instagram only. But I have started to kind of branch out and do a lot more Facebook. I was one of the original Facebook users back in 2004. It's just crazy where it's gone to, and now my grandma's on there.
Yeah.
But I don't recommend people just sticking to one platform only because it's tough because we have to skew our content a little bit when we're posting on Instagram. Then we have to change it up a little bit for YouTube and then change it up again a little bit for Facebook. And when we start to go into different platforms, what we're going to find is we're going to be good at some of them and we're going to be bad at some of them. At least that's how it's definitely worked out for me. Some people are killing it in pretty much every platform they put their fingertips on. But that's not quite how it is for me. For like, I started at Twitter, could not stand it. And I went, you know what, I'm going to go with this for 3 months and just give it my all and see what happens. I just wasn't for me. So you know what, I decided to cut that out. But what I really liked was Facebook, Instagram, and podcasts. And so those are the 3 that I've been sticking to. At some point, I do want to branch out and do a lot more on YouTube.
Yep. Love it, dude. So then, do you like, and I talked about like Buffer, you know, that I use, and I agree with you. Like, the only one that I really even like at all is Facebook. Yeah, right. Like, I'm really not Instagram, really not Pinterest, really not, you know, whatever. But it's like, hey, if I'm going to post on Facebook anyway, why not use something like Buffer to get it on? Like, my Instagram following my Twitter following is like 2,000. Where I might have, you know, between all my pages on stuff on Facebook, I might have 50,000, right? So, but it's like, it takes no more effort, you know, because I think a lot of people get intimidated because like, damn, I don't have the time. You know, because I talk about like posting 4 times a day, you know, right? Like, you got to be engaged and have different times, and we make it where it's only, you know, 20% business or whatever. And but again, telling stories, not selling. But people are like, dude, I don't have the time. But I'm like, man, if you just take 10 minutes every morning, put it into like an app like Buffer, right? It's just done. It doesn't. Do you have any like recommendations or tips or hacks that you found where you also don't suck up your time and get distracted with it, where it affects you negatively?
It's just post. Just post. It's if for anybody who's following me, go check out my story. You're going to see some stuff and just go, why is he even posting this? And to be honest, some of the stuff I look back and go, I'm not sure. But it's just post. An Instagram story is 15 seconds max. If you don't have 15 seconds in your day, then something's seriously wrong with you, or you have absolutely no control of your schedule whatsoever. Everybody's got 15 seconds. Hey, just came out of a meeting, went super well, really pumped. Thank you guys for all the support. I felt like I crushed it here. On to the next one. Boom, done. That's it. What was that? That probably wasn't even 15 seconds. That was probably about 10 seconds. Yep. It really doesn't take that much time to start posting. Now, when you start getting better at it and start getting more traction, you're going to want to refine what you're doing and figure out how to use the photo editing tools on Instagram. Figure out how to use those a little bit. Figure out one of the things I use is Cut Story. It's an app. I think it's only about $2, and it'll actually take any length video and chop it into 15-second segments. Cut Story, and so you can post it on your Instagram story in series. It does have a little bit of a hiccup, a little bit of delay right at those cuts, but it's pretty good. It's really cheap. It's easy to use. And then for content, if you're just absolutely out of everything, talk to your sales partners, talk to your business partners, talk to other people in the industry. Say, hey, can I get 50 of your homes to go and post? And then start to filter that in as well. Just say, hey, check this home out. What do you guys think? Do you think it's too much? Do you think it's too little? You find something odd or quirky. Who hasn't been on a property showing with a buyer and just gone, wow, this is weird. I've never seen something like this in a home, right? Just go look at your buyer and say, hey, you know what? This is hilarious. I'm going to take a picture and put this on my Instagram page. They go, oh, you have an Instagram page? Now you're connected with them, and you have another piece of content while you're hanging out there with them. It's fine to be able to do that. It's uncomfortable to do stuff like that in the beginning, and I don't think it ever got 100% comfortable for me, but it is way more comfortable now than it was in the past. And it's just doing it, just getting on there and just posting as much as you can early on, and then figure out over time how to refine it and get better at it and get better at it and get better at it. Yep.
Yeah. Love it, dude. Yep. Badass, man. I couldn't agree. I mean, more with everything that you're saying. I mean, it's so critical. I actually had it on the podcast too, but a friend of mine, that top agent out in Atlanta, and she kills it with social media, like slays it. Right. And Instagram specifically, you know, right? And she just, like you're talking about, just posting. She started doing like when she was showing the home, like on the welcome mat or whatever, the opening of the home, like she started posting like her shoes that she was wearing. And that's following, dude, of like her, like people now expect to see her shoes, what type of shoes she's wearing. Like maybe she's showing like a farm, like something out in the country, and she's got like boots on, but maybe the boots got muddy. She'll have like, dude, like she has this huge following about her freaking shoes, you know, right? But it's also, you know, grown because now she hashtags, you know, specifically with that, which is a whole nother story. But yeah, I mean, there's so many different things to take it. And I'm a big believer in never reinvent the wheel. Like if those that are watching, listen, if you don't know what to do, dude, go follow Nick right now, see what he's doing, and friggin' copy and steal it, right? Like Picasso said, good artists copy, great artists steal. And I'm not saying to plagiarize word for word, make it your own, but why reinvent the wheel? They're like, there's nothing I do that's original. I go find the freaking giants that were ahead of me and you know, stand on the shoulders of giants, man, and just duplicate what they've done. Like success leaves clues, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I love what you're saying. It's for anybody out there, go ahead and DM me if you have any questions about Instagram or Facebook or whatever it is. Just DM me. I get back to as many people as I possibly can. I love helping people out. That's one of my big passions. And like Josh, exactly like you were just saying, go follow other people's accounts and just watch yourself. Be mindful and go, what did I like about this account? Why the heck am I following this account? What is it? What is the entertainment, motivation, or inspiration, or the value from it we're getting? It's usually going to be something like that, and probably in the form of what Josh is explaining. It's probably going to be in the form of some sort of a story or connected to a greater story of the whole account as that person as a whole who's managing the account or who it's for. And just do it.
Yep.
Get out there.
Love it, dude. So, bro, then the next thing that you said, which I really want to go deep in, because I you know, in addition to the podcast, you know, right, and in my real estate team, I've got some other, you know, mentorship coaching programs that I do, and you know, thousands of agents that have come through over the years, and I'm working with so many agents, man, so many of them, and I was one of them too. Actually, still am one of them, to be honest with you, that has massive call reluctance, massive fear of the phones, and you know, and I found for me, it wasn't necessarily overcoming the fear. Like I still have a massive freaking fear of public speaking. I'm a very introverted person. Like I'm, you know, like I just don't do well with it. Right. However, I speak all the time. Right. But every time I get up there, man, I still like, I'm freaking out. I've got where the audience doesn't know I'm freaking out, you know, right. But it still scares the hell out of me. So I found it's not even necessarily always, some people might overcome it. For me, it's not even overcome it. It's just learning how to face them. And, you know, you talked about, man, you had this massive fear of cold calling. You know, right? And I really like to talk about, you know, what you did to overcome that and what that was like. And because, dude, I know that probably 99.9% of our listeners right now struggle with that massively.
Mm-hmm. Oh, dude, it was terrifying. It was to the point where I even had lists of numbers in front of me, and I'd pick up the phone and I'd type the numbers into my phone, and I wouldn't even hit the call button. I wouldn't hit that little green phone button at the bottom. I just, let's work on my website a little more. And I'd go back to my website. And then when I finally had the courage and motivation to actually do it, first time anybody picked up the phone, hello. I don't know what to say. Click. I just hung up. That was it. It wasn't until I kind of got to a point where I said, all right, fuck this. I'm doing it. I'm gonna go watch 5 of the most motivational things I've ever seen in my life on YouTube, and had so much confidence and so much ego. Said, all right, I'm doing this. I'm gonna crush it. I don't care what happens. And then I went through a list I went through about 100 numbers that day, and I felt just wiped out. I had absolutely zero energy. Didn't want to do it again. But after that first run through, a lot of the anxiety I had wasn't there the second time around. It was still there, definitely. It was still at a high level, higher than it is for a lot of people out there. But it wasn't as bad that second time around. And then I did it again and did it again and realized I just kept failing at it. But the more no's we get, the closer we are to that yes. That's something I realized. And also, I've started to realize I don't need a perfect script. It's, hey, my name's Nick Ahrens. I'm a local realtor with RE/MAX and the Reed team. I've got a couple of buyers looking to purchase a home in your area. Have you guys considered moving? That's it. And you know what? Yesterday, I was kind of revisiting this exact conversation and that exact question you asked, Josh, which was how did we kind of get over those initial anxieties? And I do have a business coach, as well as the coaching we do here internally with our office. And they said, come up with a list of good things that'll happen if you succeed in your business, and actually write them down, and then write down a list of the horrible things that will happen if you fail. And it's so much stress and so much time away from my wife that our relationship probably won't work out. And then I said, all right, I'm probably going to get foreclosed on, lose my home because I won't have any income coming in. And I started writing down these really powerful things. And I went, oh shit, I've got to figure this out. I've got to just fucking sit down and do it. And it was a huge motivator. And just realizing that, yeah, if I do this an hour a day, 5 days a week, for the first month, I'll probably get nothing from it. After that, I'll have started to refine my skills, which we talked about earlier. It's refining those skills. I'll start refining it and getting better at it. Then I might get a little bit of traction from it. But it's probably going to take 6 months of dedication and persistence at doing this to become successful at it. It's, what's an hour a day to get to some sort of level of mediocre or pretty good success at something, especially when you start to look at the possibilities and the realities that may happen if you fail. And that's kind of what helped me get over that, and to just sit down and do it.
Yeah. Do you curious if you experienced this, kind of something that I experienced, and it seems like a lot of agents I work with on my team experience it too, but it's like, when we're first starting out, I don't know, we make up all these stories in our head of how bad this stuff is. Yeah. And then we start doing, we realize, man, sometimes you might get an F off here or there, maybe. It's so rare, but it's never near as bad as you think in your head. Right? I mean, did you find that to be true as well? And you feel like that was maybe a part of it, of like you just felt like it was going to be this nasty, gnarly thing. You're like, shit, man, it's really not that bad.
That's exactly how it is. And it's really not that bad. I actually sat on the phone with this nice old lady who's probably going to move in about 16 months. And we were on the phone for a half hour, just loving, and she started texting me after going, oh my God, I hope you love your day. I hope you have a fantastic day. It was so nice talking to you. And now she's reaching out to me. She doesn't even want to stop the conversation. And it's an interesting way to build genuine relationships. And yeah, every once in a while we do get the good old, hey, fuck off, click. Yeah. But it's when we really look at it, if we get upset about that, it's our ego getting in the way. That's all it is. It's somebody else's ego who was bigger than our ego trying to squash it. That's all it is. And if we kind of look at it from that perspective, what's the big deal? I'm never going to talk to that person ever again. They're never going to know who I am because they told me to fuck off and they don't want to remember this moment. And so it's really not that big a deal. And that rarely happens. I actually cold called for 2 hours straight yesterday with a dialer. Probably made 300 calls. And I only got one time, hey, you're a dick, man. And somebody hanging up the phone. One out of probably, I think I had 21 or 22 different conversations yesterday, and that happened once.
Yeah.
And like you said, it was those stories I was telling myself 6 months ago before I started this that held me back from actually doing it.
Yeah. It's so amazing how, I find so many real estate agents chasing, what's the magic lead source, or what's the magic script? There is no fucking magic lead source. There is no magic script. It's like, why do we have the most least successful performing people in our industry out of any other industry that exists out there? It's real estate. And it's because they're all focused on the wrong thing. Everybody's like, oh, what's the lead? Or I got to focus on the script. Oh, what's the perfect expiry script? It doesn't fucking matter. Yeah, right. What you got to understand is, it's the perspective. And then like you talked about, dude, focus on the human connection. Hey, dude, if you know who the consumer is, human behavior, what the consumer wants, and you focus on the connection and you focus on delivering value and coming from a place of contribution, you don't need any scripts, and you'll be 10,000 times more successful. And, when it comes to perspective is kind of, you talked about, like, I don't know if you've broken this down, but I do this all the time with my team, because my agents, again, we've got to get them to it's my job now with my agents on my team to get them to break that, that fear barrier. Mm-hmm. So I break this down every quarter for them. So we know, we know exactly, like for my agents, after splits all that, I'll go to them. I'm like, hey, here's how much you make. So right now it's $6.
Yeah.
Every time they pick up the phone and do a dial, it's $6. Every time they have a conversation, it's like 17 or whatever. Every time they get told to fuck off, $162. Yeah, right. Or maybe I think it was 100. Yeah, roughly, right, somewhere around there. I can't remember the exact figure. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I'm like, look, if I walked up to you and I was like, hey, if I give you $162 right now, cash in your hand, can I tell you to fuck off to your face? People are like, hell yes. I'm like, it's the same thing, but you're freaking out. It's just changed that perspective. Like when you can add because do that. Okay, you got one, you're a dick yesterday, right? Of that 3-hour call session, dude, there's probably at least one, maybe we're closing in there, right? Or even if there wasn't, if you got to do another 2 sessions, that at least probably that activity probably made you $4,000, right? 3 or 4 grand, right? So you got called a dick to go make $3,000. Like I'll take that all day long. It's just that people just got to change the damn perspective, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's change of perspective, change your life. And I think a lot of people don't realize how much control, coming back to outside of sales, more towards just life in general. I think a lot of people don't understand that we are in control 100% of the time of our emotions. We absolutely are. I'm absolutely 100% convinced of it. Now, a lot of times my ego starts to get in the way, and it's, and I go through that up and down cycle like everybody else does throughout different situations in their life. But ultimately, we are in control of how we feel and how we act in every single moment. And the more we can grab our life by the balls and just take control and go for it, the more successful we're going to be. Yesterday when I was calling, it was in an area where the average price point is probably around somewhere between 875,000, 925,000. And people were nice. And for the 3 leads I got, for the one, you're a dick, calculated out after what I would make in commission, say one of those 3 closes in the next year. If you want to calculate that, like you said, it sounds like what you're doing is you're breaking down future closings into all the way back from how much money you'd make from that, how much time was put into it, how many conversations you had, how many dials you had, in reverse engineering down to what we need to do on a day-to-day basis, on an hour-to-hour basis. And that's how we figure out the income producing things. Now, some people in my office are way better at cold calling than I am. So somebody else is way better at Zillow leads. Somebody else is way better at open houses. And like you said, there's no magic bullet. We all have our own skill sets in our own areas. And we need to put a lot of energy, first and foremost, into whatever's producing income for you, whatever you're good at. We also do need to work on our weaknesses, but not quite as much, as we need to make money and actually survive in the industry first. And people don't realize that it's a skill set that's learned through practice and through time and through blood and through sweat and through tears and ups and downs. It's a skill set that we need to learn. Sales isn't just something that comes naturally to 100% of the people that are successful in this business. It's not. And we need to work at it and just go for it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I love it, man. It's, because you talked about this earlier when you gave the basketball analogy of learning how to dribble and learning how to, even though I got like this Michael Jordan poster behind me, I'm not a fan of sports, right? I mean, when I say that, I'm a fan of sports. I'm a fan of greatness. I'm not a spectator, right? So I don't like to watch sports. I enjoyed playing them as a kid. I never, was good like you were to go to college or with it or whatever. But anyway, right? Like if I look at like, any athletics, right? Whether pro level or not. But if you look at like Tom Brady or whoever, right? I mean, you're talking 80 hours a week, let's just say, between being on the field, working out, practicing, watching tapes, right? To step into the game for 3 hours. And this isn't just real estate. This is just business. But it's like most people graduate college or get whatever formal education on the way that they need to go and apply their job. And then it's just like they just show up every Sunday to play ball. If Tom Brady went to his coach and was like, dude, I'm not practicing more, coach. I'm just showing up to play ball. Like, even as great as he is, they probably fire his ass, right? So dude, it's, and this is something that, I'm hardcore with as well, like you, but it's like, okay, go grind your 10, 12-hour day, right? Go home, see your family. When they go to bed, instead of like all your competition binge watching fucking Netflix, spend 3 hours every night. Go through your role play your listing presentation, role play your buyer by yourself. Just go through it. Listing presentation, buyer presentation, your most important scripts in your business. You do that every night. After 6 months, you'll be world-class fucking badass. Like, right?
Yep.
And I preach this all the time, and like 1% of people I preach it to do it. It's what I did, and I continue to do it. But it's like, damn, dude, like, but you gotta have, if you want greatness, man, you gotta have that level of commitment as you talked about.
Oh yeah, I think one of the big issues with kind of that typical stereotypical millennial that's out there today is, they don't really want to work hard, and I think I'm kind of right on that oldest generation of being a millennial myself. And I think a lot of what we were being told as a kid is find a place to work, stick with it. You'll get promotions. You'll move up the ranks. You'll make money. But what was never told to us, because it was taken for granted, just assumed by every single other generation, was work your fucking ass off every day while doing it. And yeah, all of that stuff will come. But the people who just kind of show up and try to do the work without putting in more effort than the guy next to them, they're not going to get ahead. And like you said, turn the TV off, turn Netflix off, turn Hulu off, and go work on yourself. Work on personal development, work on your skills, work on your listing presentation, work on your buyer presentation and everything else. Most agents aren't doing that, and that's why most agents are failing. And it's something easy to do. You said you started doing it by yourself. You didn't even have somebody else in front of you.
No. Yeah. I never have. I've never role played with another person. Right. And because dude, I'll be honest with you, that scares me too. Right. So I was like, okay, I'm not going to do it. But if I get, a really important appointment setting script that's proven or whatever, and I practice it, because you can practice the script, run through it, right, 1,000 times, or let's just say, a few hundred times a night. So 1,000 times a week. Like, dude, if you practice your script right now, if you never called an expired, right? I'm like, okay, tomorrow we're going to meet in the office and we're going to call these 200 expires, get through as many as we possibly can. So here's what I want you to do tonight. I want you to spend 3 hours. Here's our script. Here's exactly what we're going to go through. And here's the 3 objection handling scripts after that. Here's the appointment setting script. Like here's the variations. I want you to spend 3 hours. After 3 hours, because maybe to read each one, 60 seconds, it's like, okay, well, you got 300 times to practice this. Then tomorrow, are you still going to have the fear? Sure. But you're going to be a fuck ton more confident, just like you talked about, right? Like after preparing, like, hey man, I was still afraid, but I was a lot less afraid. And then the next day I was a lot less afraid. Dude, success is in preparation, right? I mean, so much, I was on a webinar yesterday, and I went on this rant. Sometimes I go on these with my coaching clients, but I'm like, look, and I had to apologize to up front, because I'm like, I know I'm going to sound like a total freaking asshole, because there's some of you that are struggling, right? But dude, if you fail in this business, this is the easiest freaking business that exists on the planet. Like, no barrier to entry. Yeah. Like, you go open a Jimmy John's franchise, you got 200 grand out of your pocket with TIs, whatever. Like, the person that cuts my hair had to go through 16,000 hours or 1,600 hours of schooling. We go through like 40 hours. It's like less than $1,000 to get in, get licensed, be done. And it's the easiest freaking business to go out there and kill it. Right? Like, if you fail in this business, it's 100% because you were lazy and uncommitted. Like, if you're just committed and work your freaking ass off, like, I don't give a shit how bad, how terrible you are, any of this stuff. If you show up and work, right? Like, you're going to succeed. You can't not succeed in this business. Right? But then people are like, oh, well, I'm in the office. Right, what'd you do in the office? Like, they're not fucking working. They're not, like, if you did open house every single day, like 2 p.m. to 6 p.m., Monday through Friday, and then, 10 a.m. to, let's say, 2 or 3 p.m. every Saturday and Sunday, every day, 7 days a week, you're going to fucking close deals, even though how much shitty you are. Like, you talk about your first client at the open house, you blew the guy off so many times, and he was begging you, right? Like, oh yeah. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's I don't know where I'm going with that statement, but
well, I think you're spot on. And we need to ask for help. I think a lot of people get into this industry and they don't ask for help. They don't have they don't have the courage to ask for help, or they think they're already good enough, so they don't need to ask for help because they're getting it from somewhere else, some other type of resource. But that's what it is. It's put in the work, like you're saying, and then ask for help and be humble when somebody says, "Hey, Nick, you got to change what you're saying to these people. You got to change, you need to change the tonality you're using on all of those Zillow leads that are coming in. And I went, oh shit, really? Like, oh yeah, you sound terrible over the phones. And it put me in my spot. And my first reaction was to start and go up to that particular mentor who was mentoring me on that and go, nah, you're wrong. But I went, you know what? I'm going to make these changes and I'm going to go about it. And they started working out way better since. And it's having that type of mentorship is huge. And if somebody's not on a team, go to your head broker and just say, hey, how did you get started? What would you suggest for a new agent to be doing? What are 3 different things I should work on for the next 6 months and just grind it out? I think, like you said, open houses is one of the best resources you could possibly have, especially if it's a vacant house. Just ask somebody, hey, can I use your signs, your information, your marketing, and do open houses at this place 7 days a week until it sells? And if you don't have a buyer from that property and you do that for 3 months straight, if you don't have a buyer for any property or any seller, and you do that 7 days a week for 3 months, then I don't know, something's very seriously wrong with you. Because the business just will be there.
Love it, dude. So then I'm curious, and this is totally making a transition here, a pivot, but so you're on a team. You're on a team before. You're on a team now. And we've got a lot of listeners that are team leaders, as well as a lot that are aspiring to be team leaders, as well as just an agent that's like, maybe like, hey, should I be on a team? Should I not go on a team? So I'm curious, man, because obviously you could go on your own and do very well. Yeah. Right. Like what? So this is going to be a multiple part question. So the first question I would ask is as an agent, like what makes you choose to go the team route? So if an individual agent right now that's maybe struggling, like, hey, should I be independent? Should I go on a team? Or like, what should I do? Can you talk about like why you like teams and why it's such a great fit for you and the value that it brings? Then also the second part to that, what I'd love to hear is for those team leaders, and I'm curious myself, right? Like because you had 2 experiences. Not that the other one was bad. It was an amazing guy, amazing mentor, lots of respect, but it was a different environment, right? That allowed you to excel different. Like what should team leaders really focus on so their agents can excel like you've kicked ass?
The 2 absolutely phenomenal questions. And for the first one, anybody who's considering being on a team or jumping ship and moving teams, talk to as many team leaders as you possibly can. Just start calling brokerages. Every single broker is going to say, oh yeah, I could set you up with a bunch of team leaders. And they're going to introduce you to all kinds of different people. Talk to a couple of lenders and say, hey, who are some team leads you think I would connect with? And connect with as many people as you can and ask them about their business plan. One of the main reasons I'm here is the environment and the other people that are on my team. They're all extraordinarily supportive. We all want each other to succeed. So if for example, I went on a pre-listing presentation and we had 4 of my sales partners show up to that because they wanted to do a walkthrough in preparation for the open house we're going to try and do that coming weekend. And they were there all supporting me. Every single conversation and question they had about the property to the owner was, Nick's amazing. He's the man. He's got this. He's the best on our team. And they were all supporting me and pushing me and not only gave me confidence, but gave the seller confidence in that. And that's also a confidence I'm getting here when I'm making calls, here when I'm grinding it out. Everybody around me wants me to succeed. And simultaneously, I want all of them to succeed as well. And it's fun, especially me. If you couldn't tell, I'm extraordinarily competitive. But I want every single person on my team to succeed just over where I'm at. So it's going to push me because it's going to piss me off. I want them to close 100 deals a year just so it'll push me to close 102 deals this year. Yeah. And that's kind of what we're getting. On top of that, we do a lot of mentorships and trainings within our team from our team lead. And we're also part of the Tom Ferry coaching platform as well, which I think is phenomenal. And what I was kind of coming back to the second part of your question is, And I think this is bifold for kind of answering both questions. It's for me, my split is lower now than where I was.
So it wasn't the split.
It was not the split. I don't think split is that big of a deal if I feel confident that my business is going to get taken to the next level. It's not that important to me. And I had some team lead was actually telling me he was going to be in a 90-10 split with me and make sure the broker got a 5-95 split with me. And I started looking at his operational structure and his internal structure, and there was no guidance. It was a mini broker model again. It was, here's your phone, here's your desk, you're on your own. Good luck to you. With where I'm at now, it was, we were provided with coaching. We were provided with mentorship. We were provided with that positive team atmosphere. Something I would say to a lot of team leads is make sure you're only bringing on people who want to support that culture that you've got going. Because when you get a couple of bad people in there, it's going to create internal conflict, and it's going to make people run. It's going to demotivate people and not create that positive workflow and a positive, encouraging environment that we really need. One of the other reasons I'm here is because everybody wants me to succeed. They do not feel they're in competition with me. And so we're all trying to push each other to that next level. And for team leads, take your time with hiring. There's absolutely nothing wrong with going to your top sales partners and having them interview somebody, and then having another 2 or 3 sales partners interview somebody again, and stretch the process out for maybe 6 weeks. You don't have to close that person right then and there, but just keep in contact with them. And that's actually what happened here with me. It was probably a 2.5 month process. I actually went to a conference where our team lead now was speaking, and the title of the conference was Joining and Starting Teams. How to join the right team and how to start a team that is successful. And I went to the guy who invited me. I said, all right, I want to talk to those 2 panelists who are up there because they inspired me. And that's kind of how I ended up where I am now. Hopefully that answered your question. Maybe you have some follow-up questions to that.
Yeah. Well, no, I dig it, dude. Yeah. Well, I absolutely love too that you said that. It becomes the race to the bottom, right? It's like, yeah. I came from the health club industry, and we've seen this in the health club industry where it was like, all right, well, like when I used to, and this was before I got into real estate, right? So 14, 13 years ago. But dude, I remember selling 1-year contract memberships, $45 a month, right now it's like, go to Planet Fitness, get for $9. Like, it's been like this race to the bottom, and man, nobody wins on the race to the bottom, right? It just crushes industries. And so many team leaders are like, oh, I got to offer better split. I think it's like they think that people only want splits or leads. Yeah, right. Where it's like, no, man, people want the roadmap. They want the guidance. They want the culture. They want the coaching, like you talked about. I think it's so important. So can you elaborate? So when you have your coaching, like with your team, because that you provide that, they have that coach, plus I'm sure they have internal meetings and all of that. When you guys say like you coach with Tom Ferry, and this is just something I'm curious about for my own team, is that become group? Because obviously, I'm assuming there's no way that you guys each have your own one-on-one coach with Tom Ferry that they provide, or is it?
We do it actually a couple of ways. We have an internal mentorship going on here where once a quarter we're brought in and kind of our business is reanalyzed and restructured, and we're given some tools to kind of remodel our business. That's within our team. Within the Tom Ferry system, what we're doing is we do group sessions as well as one-on-one individual half hours as well. And I think both are really good because we've all decided to have the same exact lead pillar sources. Now, obviously, like we've mentioned, some of us are better and worse at different pillars or different sources of income, but we're all focused on the same sources of income when it really comes down to it. And so we're able to get group coaching for that as a whole, and then get some individual coaching. It's not quite as frequent, but we are able to get some individual coaching as well to help us with whatever aspect it is we need help with.
Yep. That's killer, bro.
Yeah. And it also creates a tremendous amount of accountability. If I'm seeing everybody here in my office, and they're going, "Hey, Nick, did you hit your KPIs for the week?" I'm like, "Oh shit, no, I got like 4 hours of cold calls I got to make up for now." They're holding me accountable to those numbers. My team lead's holding me accountable to those numbers. This other system's holding me accountable to those numbers. And that for me was one of the biggest decisions in coming over here, was that sense of accountability. And which I love, somebody pushing me more and more and more and more, and then having to readjust those KPIs and those numbers I'm trying to hit. Because I am a very driven person, I want to make sure I succeed at everything I do very, very quickly.
So then, because you talked about you hitting cold calls. So, I mean, in addition to having other lead sources like a Zillow or whatever that's coming in, you're also doing your own personal sources as well. What's in addition to that though, dude? Like, what are the other, like, what are your guys' top sources? Like, what's really working today? I know you guys are like the number one ranked out there in your area, and I probably like one on top of the country with Zillow. So I'm guessing you probably get a lot of Zillow. And I'm just going to ask it because I'll forget otherwise. Then you guys do all the lead, how does the lead model work? And these are just selfish questions that I'm hoping the audience likes as well, but I'm asking myself as far as, because I've went different models where we've given leads to the agents. We have like floor time where they come and get leads, or the ISA model, which, a lot of people are moving to. Can you kind of walk through just some of the structure?
We're kind of on the fence about an ISA model. We try to not do that. We're trying to make it more of like that Tom Ferry says, like a SEAL Team 6 type of model, where every single agent is producing leads on their own, producing business on their own. All of them can handle listing presentation. All of them can handle buyer's presentation. All of them can close deals all on their own. We do have some Zillow leads coming in. Where our office is located, we're really not going to have anything that comes in for floor time. And so we do have somebody up front, but it's not an agent, it's an operations manager and an RTC as well. The other sources we're using are cold calls, geographic farming, and door knocking and open houses. That's pretty much it right there. We know it works. We hit it hard. That's what we do. And we do a ton of retargeting to our sphere and past clients and old leads as well through online sources. And we find that every once in a while, those will come back as well.
Yeah.
But there's a million different ways to produce income, and it's really what works good for the individual and what they're going to stick to long-term. That's what's going to end up working. Like geographic farming, as you know, you're not going to see any business in the first 3 months of it. There's just no way. It's going to take a year or 2 years to really start dominating an area.
Yep. Got to have that patience. I love it, dude. I agree. 100% agree, man. So, I know we're getting long on time here. But a couple last questions for you. Knowing what you know now, right? Like just, maybe it's not just the industry, but just life in general, but knowing everything you know now, if you were able to have a conversation with yourself in 2013, when you were first jumping into the business. So like Nick today could have a conversation with Nick in 2013 and give yourself 2 pieces of advice that you feel would have fast forwarded this trajectory of success, eliminated a lot of this pain and suffering that you had. What would those 2 pieces of advice look like?
Oh, that's a good question. One of the things is I would have put myself out there a lot more in the beginning, as much as possible. Set myself up knowing I'm going to have uncomfortable conversations. I'm going to have to try to talk my way out of things I don't know enough information about. I would do less research and more practitionership. Less trying to find the perfect systems, models, and scripts, more just getting in front of people and doing the best I possibly can and learning that way. The other piece of advice is find a damn good mentor and just blindly trust them. I know that sounds weird. It probably sounds like, oh, Nick just drank the Kool-Aid with whatever group he's with now. But that's not the reality. It's find somebody who you can trust and find somebody who has good systems, models, and tools that you can implement and just follow that path. If they say, hey, here's what you need to say to that person, pick up the phone and make that phone call verbatim right there and just trust that it will work in the end. instead of trying to, what I always used to do is go internal and create conflict and go, maybe I should research more scripts on this first from what my team lead said. And it's the more I act like a successful person and just learn and regurgitate what they're doing, the more success I'm seeing.
Yep. Love it, dude. Such powerful words, man. All right. So one last thing, dude, for our listeners that, want to follow you on social media or might have some questions. You mentioned DMing you, plus, I know that, you're starting to do a lot of speaking, and I know that that's like your one of your big visions for the future and desires is to go out there and do a lot more. So I know that we're going to see more insane amounts of amazing content from you as you continue to grow and expand. So if people want to follow you, get in touch with you, or all right, we're all real estate agents. Maybe they have a referral in your area for you, or whatever that looks like. What's the best way to do that, dude?
Best way to do that is through Instagram. Just look up Nick Ahrens Real Estate. That's Nick, Ahrens Real Estate. If you just type in Nick, I'll be the first guy that pops up with, you'll see my mug and a blue background there. Also, go ahead and check out my podcast as well. The Sell Podcast, SEL podcast.com. You'll be able to find me there. And also on my team's website, the Reed Team Homes, REED teamhomes.com. Those would be the best three ways to get in touch with us.
Badass. Love it, dude. And those that are watching, listen, I know we end every podcast with this, but information without implementation is just the start of delusion. Information is no longer power. It's taking that information, taking action on it that allows you to create the power in your life for you to go out there and create the life that you know you want and deserve. And you all 100% deserve success, but you got to put in the work. Nick shared so many amazing pieces of advice. I mean, like I got 4 pages of notes, man, over here. So you guys take something that you learn, take immediate action on it, go out there, work your ass off, and create the life you know you want and deserve. And we truly, truly appreciate you as always watching and listening. And Nick, man, this has been a lot of fun, dude. Massive honor having you on the show. And I truly appreciate you taking time to be here.
Hey, Josh, thank you so much. Seriously, I have absolutely loved this. You've got such a fantastic thing going with what you're doing in this podcast and with your business as well. You guys are killing it, and you're providing so much value. I am, like I said, I'm a subscriber and a follower and a believer of the messages you put out there. And it works, people. Listen to Josh. It's going to work.
Thanks so much for the kind words, man. And thank you guys again. And we will see you next time